Alright, now this is a match that I am very excited to bring you. This is another one of the matches in the tournament from my previous video. But in this battle, I'm playing against a wonderful Total War player and YouTuber by the name of jmartin. We did best 2 of 3, and it did go to 3 matches, so that was a hell of a lot of fun. This is the first one we played. I'll may bring you the second one, and I'll probably, more likely than not, do the third. Just because I thought they were all kind of fun matches. And anyway, this one I played as Prussia, and he played as GB, and we brought very similar builds here, 5 lights, militia, 3 cav, or gen, and the rest line. 2 of my line are foot guards. I think all of his are just regular foot. So, yeah. One thing he did, though, is he gave his meat shield those 2 ticks of experience. I think 2 ticks of experience is an interesting move there. Because as I recall, only the odd numbers give you extra morale. And the Fencibles, as I see it, the way I think of them in my strategy, are mostly there to soak up bullets. Maybe he had a weird amount of money left over or something, but I think at that point, it's almost worth upgrading one of your foot instead of doing any upgrades on the militia. But anyway, so now the battle's starting. So one thing is, you saw he did the very classic, the unboxing deployment. And so when someone does that, if you push up really hard, you'll have an advantage in a way. So I let him get some first shots, and I do that because the Prussian lights are slightly better than GB's. So I think that's a trade I can make in exchange for getting it started sooner. And another thing I do to kind of even the scales a little bit is I go ahead and I do a bit of a Lancer charge here. I don't expect this to connect at all, but what it lets me do is kind of shoot him in the back a little bit as he runs away. Kind of takes his attention away, and I of course bring my Lancers back. I lose 5 of them. I think that's okay. And also, it lets them focus a little bit on these guys. You see, now, thing I should have done, taken these 4 infantry and gotten up here faster, and gotten shots on these guys while they're trying to get into position. That being said, here I'm still shooting on him. And one thing he's doing, he's focus firing. I really wish in replays you could see both sides, dots and orders and stuff, but you can't. And I think, in some sense, yes, focus firing is great, gets you units off the field faster. I think, though, later on in the battle, you'll see a potential downside to that. Anyway, so here I start pushing up on the left. He's got 4 guys, I've got 4 guys, but 2 of mine are guards. He's got a cav, so I'll bring 2 cav that way. And here, I'm not doing as well paying attention. And I'm letting him do a thing that he likes to do. I've noticed watching his videos, which, again, you should watch them, they're fantastic. Where he kind of is able to get up on someone's flank, and I try to just here push back. I really need to get, here, start my line here, maybe. But regardless, so while he retreats, I push up. I honestly should have charged my cav sooner here. Yeah, so he manages to rout, let's take a look. He manages to rout and even shatter 1 of my Fusiliers. But the thing is, and this one's hurt pretty bad. And so yeah, the advantage there, I've wasted a lot of my bullets on his meat shield. But, all these guys, their morale's pretty okay. And I've still killed, a similar number of his lights as he has to mine. Especially because, again, Prussian Fusiliers have, I think it's 55 accuracy, 60 reload skill, whereas the British light foot have 50, 55, and the King's German Legion are the same, but their reload skill is 60, like the Prussian Fusiliers. So I just have the fact that my lights are a bit better here. But also, so like, okay, if all this damage is a little bit spread out, that means like they'll all have low-ish morale, which can hurt you later. Like, this guy ran, but these guys don't really care that much. Like, their friend routed, but they're not too hurt themselves. Also here, so like, I get my lineup to help get involved. And he runs away, that's probably a good thing. He doesn't run his fencibles away, so I'm kind of content to sit back for a sec and just finish them off. Meanwhile, he does a good move here, where he kind of splits his lineup, like I was saying earlier. So what I need to do is I either need to just push up harder, or I need to shift my own line, or do something. But I'm kind of paying more attention here, so let's look at the current situation. You know, I'm getting my lineup, fighting against his lines. These foot are close behind, but they're not firing. And these lines are not engaged with these lines, right? Not yet. So I'm pushing my own. So here, another thing, I make a bit of a mistake here. I think, oh, I'll form a square here. He'll run around and get my lights. And they're kind of ahead of these lines. What I need to do is move my musketeers up, except he may do that and run when he does that instead. Instead, I start to run these guys away. It costs me valuable time, but okay, here. So he charges these cav in, right? And I'm forming square, and that's good in the sense that they're fighting these light infantry. But that also means, like, I get a free volley off on them with these musketeers because they're not already fighting. So that hurts the dragoons already. I form this square here, which not great for the musketeers, but did good damage to the dragoons, and I managed to get out, and I bring my lights up. And now, okay, so part of why I think I'm gonna have a big advantage in this light battle now is some of these lights are busy with my musketeers here. I need to push these up harder, give me more of an advantage. I think at the moment, yeah, I'm focusing. So you try to cav charge here. I form square. These guys are they even shooting at this point? Let's go slow-mo for a sec. Yeah, so he did that cav charge maybe a bit prematurely. And these guys aren't, like, he's not taking advantage of his advantage here. Now they're shooting. And I just kind of pull back, which I need to do. Meanwhile, I'm pushing up here. And now I'm getting my cav going, which I needed to do earlier. And
our men are running first.
I form the square. I try to charge his light line as well. But, okay, so... But they get caught up with his cav. And I charge my other cav through here. Now that this is actually a good light line-on-line battle. And I think something that I'm going to kind of point out here is in this battle, I think he over-squared. So, like, this guy's in square, but he doesn't really need to be. These cav, they got caught up. These guys are in square. Fair enough. Maybe they don't need to be either. But what that means is while this unit is in square and he's routed this foot, this musketeer, that, like, these guys aren't in line to take advantage of it, right? And now I'm pushing my lights up a little bit better, my lines up a little bit better. Here, okay, so I pulled back, and now we're in a place where I'm kind of redeploying to be on his flank instead. And, see, so, look, he's, in one sense, got the theoretical advantage. Like, there's this big cav fight going on in my line, which I don't want. I have to point out to you here, man, you've got two cav fighting the same infantry unit, which is not what you want. But see, so he's got theoretical firepower advantage here that he's not taking advantage of. Like, these foot need to be in line shooting these musketeers. These guys are now starting to get out of their square, but they've already not had a great opportunity. And here I've routed this unit because I've had 2 lines shooting at it while it was in square. 2 foot guards at that shooting at it while it was in square. So that's pretty good. And I'm able to force these guys into square to kind of counter the fact that now I've got to get... did I make the square? I don't remember. Yeah, I make the square. But I forced these guys into square as well. What I honestly should do is now charge these foot, force them in. And this kind of gets a bit messy, so slow motion here for a sec. He gets some of his cav just through these squares, and I'm worried he's going to threaten my general here. I try to think, okay, I'll charge his cav, his guys with my cav in the back. But that doesn't work out so well. These lancers run. And also I think maybe I'll snipe his general. But I always underestimate generals in their ability to hold up. So now, yeah, he's got a pretty good firepower advantage here. And at this point, I'm kind of thinking like, man, he's got me, right? Like, let's look at the overall situation here. He's got these lines shooting at my guys in square. He's managed to get back out of the square. He's got some cav behind my line. I'm having to bring these guys over in an emergency. But here, and also at this point, I feel like he has me on the flank, though in reality that's probably my panic mind setting in, because like looking at it in a replay, I'm doing pretty well here, right? I think maybe what he needs to do is kind of take these foot and come in and threaten this flank. But then pretty quickly what happens here is, remember how I said like all his lights are pretty hurt? So he's got 18, 19, 30, 50, 68. Meanwhile, like most of my lights, because he focused, those ones are hurt, but these 3, like because he focused fire on these guys and the ones who routed, they're feeling pretty healthy. So that's gonna be relevant in a sec. So here I always underestimate the general, like I said. I think, oh, maybe I'll snipe his general. So here he tries to charge these guys a bit too early, I think, before this foot are really into place. And I'm like, okay, I need to just buy time. So I send my cav through to charge him here. I've managed to have these, kind of fight off his cav. And so what I do is I try to get these guys into line and form a new line. And my thing here is I just want to get all of his infantry into square while I can form up. But now, okay, look, so I routed, like, as soon as I kill one of his lights, the rest of them are really hurt. So as soon as their friends rout, they rout too. Whereas, like, these guys can handle someone routing near them because this guy's practically fresh. So if someone else routs near him, he doesn't really care. And this kind of brings me to, and I think at this point when he sees a center routing, he gives the GG, and that's the more interesting part of the battle done. But, so I'm going to kind of just talk a bit here. I think target firing is great to take down a higher value target among low value targets. But in this case, like by target firing on my lights, like sure, he was able to rout one of them, but the rest of the guys don't really care about that. Whereas once all his guys are, at like half casualties, if one of them routs, then the rest of them are going to think about routing too. Yeah, makes sense. And I think also combined with the fact that Prussian Fusiliers are just a little bit better than the British Lightfoot, that just, like, gives me that much more of an advantage. I get a couple more bullets into his guys and he gets into my guys because I shoot more accurately and I reload faster than 3 of his 5 lights, and equally to the other 2, who are still less accurate than mine. I think at this point, he probably could have fallen back, formed a new line instead of... Not at this point, but a little bit earlier he could have done that. Maybe tried to do something, but it would have been a tough fight. Like, it would have required me making an error. So, I don't really blame him for doing the whole, like, GG, I'll mass charge my guys here. Good chance I would have done it too at that point, but I think given how many of these guys ended up coming back from routing, like almost all of them, he could have maybe done something. I don't know. The fact that I still had a cav left maybe would have made that tough. Anyway, very good game. Like, this was... I know I have a bunch of guys left, but there were a few points in that battle where I thought you had me. So, yeah, good game, buddy. And all 3 of our games in this match were a lot of fun, and I hope to see you on the field again.